Hello everyone, this is AIA Akaya bringing you another shoutcast of the StarCraft 2 beta. This is game 2 of a best of 3 series between Goody and LiquidNazgul, and this of course taking place in the Zotac Cup series. This is series number 6, and I'm going to be shoutcasting from the round of 8 onto the championship with as many of the replays as I have in my possession, which unfortunately I was not able to get all of the replays from round of 8 on, but I will be shoutcasting as many of them as I can. This is a Protoss versus Protoss. As you may have noticed if you watched the first game, this game going to be played on the map Blistering Sands. And if you have seen the StarCraft 2 battle reports that Blizzard released before the beta started, you will be aware of what this map is laid out. This is of course just a 2-player map, so it's a 1v1 map specifically designed for 1v1s, and both players are obviously going to know where the other one spawns. And the red Protoss in the lower left here, LiquidNazgul, and the blue Protoss in the upper right, going to be Goody. And both players throwing down their pylons at 9, which is pretty typical for Protoss players. I haven't seen a whole lot of builds that differentiate from that, to be quite honest. A couple things that are pretty unique about this map. One is that these gold minerals are blocked by these destructible rocks, and there are a couple other maps that Blizzard uses that use this mechanic where basically you can get directly to the gold expansion, but if you want to build there in the most ideal position for your hatchery, nexus, or command center, you have to destroy these destructible rocks. There are other maps that have expansions blocked by destructible rocks, but this one of the only ones that has the actual build location blocked by destructible rocks. And as you can see, 2 Xel'Naga watchtowers in the middle here, a ramp coming up from either side for both of them, and of course some line of sight blockers along the middle as well. So some very interesting mechanics along this map. Blizzard of course building these maps and using these new mechanics that they've added in to add diversity, and I am hoping to see some new maps from Blizzard in the StarCraft 2 beta here soon, and it looks like Goody is going to steal that second assimilator from LiquidNazgul yet again. So not only is that going to slow down his ability to tech as fast as he wants to, but that is also going to give him eyes in his base. And as you can see, LiquidNazgul has started his base relatively close to this simulator, so he is going to be very aware of what's going on over here. But looking back at Goody's base, he is building a cybernetics core of his own. He does have both of his assimilators again. So at this point, seeing very, very similar builds from the last game, and it looks like Goody is was possibly thinking about trying to hide a building over here, but of course LiquidNazgul, being the good player that he is, throws a pylon down there. These destructible rocks, along with these line of sight blockers, are a possible backdoor entrance into your enemy's base, and if you do not build some sort of a building or leave a unit back here that can spot the bottom of these destructible rocks on this ramp, you can get steamrolled rather quickly if somebody breaks through those rocks and comes up into your base. So of course LiquidNazgul making sure that that does not happen to him, although if he leaves this probe over here for too much longer, he may lose this pylon. And another gateway going down for LiquidNazgul at this point as well. And it looks like LiquidNazgul does have a probe in the mineral line of Goody, although a Zealot is trying to chase it down right now. And another gateway going down for Goody as well. So keeping the pressure on with this probe, trying to get as much scouting done as possible. Obviously, the longer he can stick around, the more of his enemy's tech pattern he can spot, which after the tech for the cybernetics core, you really start to see where your enemy is going to be going based on what they build after that, as far as units and as far as tech buildings, which unfortunately it doesn't look like LiquidNazgul is going to get any more information that he already has, which he is aware that he's got these 3 gateways and a cybernetics core, so he's going to have to deal with that information for the time being, and these Zealots in the Sentry are going to track down Goody's scouting probe as well. So no more scouting for either player in their enemy space. So at this point, they are going to be in the dark until they can get some observers overhead. And it looks like LiquidNazgul does have his second assimilator up and running now. So both players mining from both assimilators and a healthy amount of probes. If we take a look at the units overlay here, we can see that Goody does have a slight advantage on the number of probes. And that will be affecting the income just barely, but with only 1 base between the 2 of them, it's not going to be a huge difference at this point. And 1 probe coming across from Goody again, trying to scout out, and he is going to see that LiquidNazgul is going for an earlier expansion again. Now, if you remember last game, LiquidNazgul threw down the first expansion as well, and Goody was able to put on enough pressure to take that expansion out before LiquidNazgul was really able to get a lot from that expansion. So that expansion had not yet paid for itself, so he may go for something similar, although it looks like he is just going to opt at this point for throwing down his own expansion rather than trying to put some pressure on his enemy and take his expansion out. Last game he managed to take out LiquidNazgul's expansion before throwing down his own, this time just trying to match it by putting up his own expansion while his enemy is getting his. And 4 warp gates now for LiquidNazgul, so of course the warp gate technology has finished in his cybernetics core, and the same going here for Goody as well. So both players, again, very, very similar build orders right now. They have identical tech trees and basically identical expansions as well, because both of them getting the expansion timing pretty much the same time, although LiquidNazgul is going to have his up shortly before Goody does. If we take a look at the units overlay here, we can see that their armies are significantly different. 8 Zealots for LiquidNazgul as opposed to 2 for Goody, although Goody does have 2 Stalkers in the mix. And then, of course, they are pretty even on sentries. Only 1 more sentry for Goody than LiquidNazgul. So, but the Zealot-heavy army could do a lot of damage unless these ranged units are microed very well if they meet up in the middle here, which it looks like Goody trying to get another proxy pylon down, but it is going to be spotted by LiquidNazgul. So he is probably going to lose this probe and this pylon. Yep, and there it goes down, throwing down some force fields here, trying to block this choke, because of course the Zealots cannot do as much damage if this choke is blocked, because they will be forced to go through a narrow passway rather than being able to surround the units. And the expansions for both players finished at this point. Goody transferring some probes over, and of course LiquidNazgul already has probes transferred over to his expansion. So again, both players' timings very, very similar at this point. And we have not seen a robotics facility go down for Goody yet, and neither have we seen that for LiquidNazgul. So both players sticking with the tech that they currently have and trying to macro up a bit of an army, which, as you can see here, again, same number of sentries, but far, far more Zealots from LiquidNazgul at this point. And those Zealots could be and a ton of force fields going up from LiquidNazgul right now, although I'm wondering if this may be hurting him more than helping him, because he is the one that has the melee units, so he needs to be able to get these melee units to these ranged units, because if they are behind that wall, then they cannot get to them, obviously. And these ranged units are going to back off, both players backing off after a small skirmish there, and lots of sentries for both teams right now, although it looks like LiquidNazgul does have a couple more than Goody at this point. Both players still pretty close in the probe count, although Goody is starting to pull away a little bit, so his economy is going to be a little bit stronger. And already putting down 2 assimilators on this expansion, which one